Right, so pre-twinkle teaching points. This is where we get down to the nitty-gritty of what you actually do from the first lesson until they can play their twinkles, which is an enormous amount of tiny steps, isn't it? So every year with my trainees, we've started with the one from the year before, which I wrote before we started. You know what I mean? And then we have gone through it and added yet more detail. I think in some ways it's very helpful to have more and more detail, and others not so much. Nothing. I will just put this in the chat. File. No, what's it called? Presumably pre-twinkle. Yep, there is that. And in a minute, we're going to talk about that. You got both those things? Cool. Alrighty. So this is just the order of what we're teaching, not how to teach it, but we will talk about how to teach it. Please put your name on yours in case they go astray, not awry. And then I can give back to you. Oh, this one. So if you grab your book once, that's so helpful. Have it with you. I'll get you mine. Have you ordered a new one? No, I've got a new edition. I thought a new edition. Great. I just feel comfortable with the old one. I just did bring it today. We need to bring it every week. From now, that would be good, yeah. So, let's begin at the beginning of the book. There are this forward from page 4. Apparently, it comes in lots of different languages. It's just the door closing. So let's just Sarah, maybe you want to come and sit over here so you can share with your own, because actually it's not really going to work easy for mine because I need it. Do you have your book one with you, Jacqueline?
I left it there.
Okay.
I don't have it here with me.
Don't worry. I'm going to read a little bit what it says.
Thank you.
The destiny of a child is in his parents' hands. Education begins the day a child is born. In fact, I would say before the child is born. As an infant's body grows day by day, its powerful life force absorbs all the stimuli it receives externally, developing in the process of acquiring ability. Without stimulus to the life force, there will be no development in the child. Under conditions of neglect, nothing and no one can grow. For more than 40 years of experimental pedagogy, I have come to know without a doubt that ability is not inborn. Please raise your child to be a fine human being. Art and ability depend entirely on the manner of nurturing. Everyone knows how important it is to cultivate siblings with care, yet some parents are inattentive and indifferent to their child's development. Without exerting any effort, they resign themselves to the thought that my child was born this way. I hope you will not repeat this lamentable mistake from past eras of human civilization. It's rather grandiose. Please consider the fact that your child is developing the ability to speak with complete ease, and that children all over the world develop the wondrous ability to master their own native language. Does not every child develop marvelous abilities? Similarly, any child properly nurtured will develop abilities in other areas besides language acquisition. From my research of the pedagogical methodology of mother tongue acquisition, it's not exactly written in plain English, is it? I have created an educational approach known as the Suzuki method. Just as every child has the potential to develop tremendous abilities in the mastery of his mother tongue, each child has been imbued with the potential to develop musical abilities. Please do not fail to nurture your child. It is a mistake to think that your child's future is only a matter of hereditary or inborn qualities. In response to the skill and ingenuity of the nurturer, any child can be fostered to achieve a high level of ability. Children will grow according to this law of ability. Everything depends on the method of nurturing. The same method may yield different outcomes in different children. Every child has the potential to develop ability in any field, at least to the level of his ability to master his mother tongue. Every child is a wonderful creature, a precious being. Please give your child the opportunity to be nurtured, and please explore the best ways to nurture him or her. Five conditions for ability development: an early start, a superior environment, a commitment to practice, a superior instructor, and a thorough teaching method. And then I'm not going to read all of this, but it's important to go through this with your parents, especially when you take into account that lots of them will read bits of Nurtured by Love or not at all, and this is sort of like the, most pertinent bits, isn't it? And a little bit about maintenance of the violin. Right, so then we are skipping ahead to page 15. And looking at the parts of the violin and the bow. We've talked a little bit before about credits, but the way that I recognise the fact that the child has sort of understood and learnt each level is that when they've learned something, the sticker, and the sticker is not a special sticker, it's just one of my stickers, but it goes in the book on the thing they've learned, and we put the date. So even from like lesson 1 or 2, which is when we do the parts of the violin and the bow, if a child can tell me that this is the tip, I've got a star there, I'm not going to write the date for each single thing because it's going to take like 2 weeks, so we'll just put the date for each day that some of them happen. But they learn their strings, they learn all the things on this list. Yeah. And in this country, we normally say adjuster rather than fine tuner. Fine tuner is more American. Yeah. And I do teach them that the F hole is also called the sound hole because the sound comes out of it. I think it's easier for some of them to remember. Yeah. Others will look at it and think, oh yeah, that's there. So it looks like the F hole. And did you know, fun fact about the bow hair, this is hilarious and the kids love it because they love anything to do with poo or wee. Female horses have better bow hair growing in their tails because the urine makes it better quality when it runs down it. Ah. Something about it makes it better. I don't know anything more than that, but they think that's very funny and good to know. So then we're not going to look at the list yet, we're just going to keep looking at the book. So we have a picture of a little boy in nice position. We have a picture of the same little boy doing the thing that I don't like people to do, of putting their violin hand over to their left shoulder so that. Oh yeah. So I just right hand on tummy instead. We've got the playing position feet. And in this book, the feet are equal. Not left foot forward, and then we have the whole of playing position under there. So that's quite helpful, page 16. There's quite a lot of stuff in this book that I think is not very well plotted on the page. For example, the bow hold, right here we have very helpful picture of beginner bow hold, great, useful, the bow hold bunny. Then we have the beginner bow hold, and then we have the more advanced bow hold, which definitely implies to me that you kind of go from this to this to this to this, but actually you go from this to this to this, and then what? A year, 18 months later, you go to this.
Yeah.
So I just kind of make a point of being like, not that one yet. I am trying to move the thumb inside around Allegro perpetual motion.
Right.
Certainly if you haven't moved it inside by the D-string pieces, particularly etude, it's gonna really, you do need to do that to get the flexibility in the hands, like they're still holding this big thing when they're doing all four strings and doubles.
Yeah.
It's not easy. Then we have the placement of the bow, the different names of the bits. And suddenly a very big child, not really child, teenager. Don't know why they suddenly decided to use a 15-year-old, but there we go. At least there's ethnic diversity, which is good. And gender diversity. So for book one, we're always just keeping the bridge and the bow the same distance from the bridge. We're not changing the contact point in book one at all.
Yeah.
And then there's a little bit about the finger patterns that we're going to use in this book. Get something else. Sorry, took me a little moment to find that. So I use a book, well, I use a system called Fingerboard Geography by Barbara Barber. There is a whole book to go with it, but I just use the patterns. If you have, do you have access to the Dropbox there? Without me doing anything, Kathleen? Cool. So if you go into the Dropbox, you can see something called 12 finger patterns that looks like this. And the thing about these that's really good is it's not to do with where on the fingerboard you are, and it's not to do with what key you're in. This doesn't mean low one. I wish they hadn't left any kind of thing at the end, I think, or a longer one. But anyway, so this works in third position, second position, half position, first position. But it just is that it's that pattern, tone, semitone, tone, and then semitone, tone, tone, and then tone, tone, semitone. And these are the ones we use in book one. And so if we're looking at that page, whatever number it is, 20, we've got the red finger pattern where 2 and 3 are best friends, that's what we start with. Then we learn the blue fingers with the low 2s, and then we learn yellow with the hopping 3, and that's taking you all the way through the whole book.
Right.
And they're really helpful for everything, really.
There's a good game that I saw online where you can do, you make, I don't know if you've seen it, but this woman's go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and they have to go like that really quickly, and then 2 and 3 and
Oh,
stuff, and it makes them think really.
yeah.
Or
Well, it should be even better using the colours.
well, you could, yeah, you could,
Yeah.
yeah, so you could say
Red, blue, green, yeah.
And
Yeah,
so
that's
you can
fun.
say that really quickly and best.
Yeah, that's a good way. Yeah, thank you. So, and then we come to actually the instrument. So before we do that, we're gonna now have a look at the pre-twinkle teaching stats. Violin stats. And one of your assessments that you need to do is to write this up. And I will, this is on the Dropbox, so you can use this as your basis.
Yeah.
But write in whatever it is you need to know from on this to be able to, for example, I'm sick, can you come and teach the third lesson to a student of mine? And we've got up to number 4. And so you would be able to look at your notes, because on this, if you don't remember what rest position means, then you can't do it.
Yeah.
So anything that you don't remember just from looking at it, don't know straight away, you just write in. So it's like an annotated version of what these steps are and how you would teach them. So if you do it on the computer, then you can take as much time in between each one as you need. If you want to write a paragraph about one of them and then just one word about another, that's fine.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
We will write for each one.
Yeah, great. So intro to Suzuki for parents. Expect every lesson to finish early so you can ask questions and clarify practice tasks. The intro to Suzuki for parents might be 5 lessons. And it might be a 10-minute chat at the beginning of the first lesson because they've done the parent education course, or you've just decided to do a little bit in the beginning of each lesson or in the middle of each lesson, whatever. So it's not that number 1 finishes when you get to number 2. Some of them continue all the way through. Because review, right?
Yeah.
Parts of the violin and bow pictures. Blank pictures for labelling and credit box.
Sorry, I know you talked about it, I didn't quite get it. You're putting the stickers in.
Yeah. So in their first lesson, looking at page 15, they might get 5 of these things. You just give them a little sticker on the 5 they've got and put, 15th, whatever date it is, 17th of October.
See, so that just applies to that particular thing.
Yes. Oh, now this is interesting. There you go. There's my first edit. I've got to number 3. Blank pictures for labelling and credit box. I haven't made a blank version of this. I just asked, they can't read, so it's fine. I just asked them on the actual violin what they are, and then put the credit on there.
I just confused about the wordings of the credit book, the labeling. We're talking about something like that, like putting a box and then put a sticker in the box.
Or a tick, if the credit is for something that has a few things before the. For example, if they're playing Dizzy Dizzy Stop Stop on E.
Like this box, for example, and tick.
But like if they're doing Dizzy Dizzy Stop Stop on E, they might be touching the A string, and they might also be forgetting their rhythm. So you might say rhythm, box, E string only, box, and then when they've got the tick for both of them, they can do it for a credit.
Okay. So where would you put would you put it in the Suzuki book or?
Yeah.
Right.
So later on, once we're pieces, it looks like this.
Oh, I see.
So they literally have a list of the things.
Yeah, okay.
And it would sometimes, but we'll do it a lot in teacher training, in teaching points.
Oh, right, I'm sure.
So I don't think you need to have a look, I don't think you need a picture now.
So you can put it on the.
That's also the did those ones.
Yeah,
You can just put it, somewhere.
yeah, exactly. And the, so actually I would take number 3, I will change it, but it needs to become. So number 2 is learning and talking about the parts of the violin and bow pictures, and then we could just say credits for knowing parts of the violin and bow.
Do you do that before you ever do anything else, or can you sort of have it as a little break in when they're learning foot positions or something to make the lesson longer?
So
To sort of get to it. Well,
yeah, exactly. It kind of depends. Like, this is what I mean about changing it constantly. Number 1 definitely happens first.
Yeah.
I tend to do parts of the violin and bow first, because then when you're talking about picking up the violin, they need to know what the neck is, so that you say pick it up by the neck. And then concert position is really helpful just for those very early lessons when they're sitting down, that they can practice putting it down in the right place. And then rest position with violin and bow, that is like the first time they're going to do that, is probably then, but they may have done feet positions earlier.
Yeah.
So you can write by feet positions might be earlier.
Kate,
Yes, love.
is that on the two pre-Tinkle plan that you sent?
The pre-twinkle teaching, pre-twinkle violin steps is the one we're talking about at the moment. The first one I sent through.
You sent me.
No, it's not playing on this.
So it's the PDF one.
I mean, that maybe only want
Is it
to.
the PDF one? This says rough teaching plan for the first year of Suzuki violin lessons.
Yeah.
That's not the one we're talking about now.
Depends on your teacher.
So and the word one is similar, but it has the glossary underneath. That's what I received, but it doesn't seem like.
You mean just now?
Let
Let me just screen that in a second. So
I actually did that the other day because I have a 3-year-old who sit down.
so this is the plan, which is not what we're talking about right now.
Kate did say that the other day. You can do feet positions there.
The grid. Can you see that?
Yes, I can see that. So it's not that one.
It's not that one. What we are talking about is not that. My word keeps doing that. It's really annoying.
The one that I have here is the word one with the
It looks
glossary.
like this.
Oh, I don't have that one. Can
Okay.
you see that one?
When you look in the chat,
Is it all?
I'm the wall, I'm not too hot.
I am freezing.
The one that you sent me is not the same.
Usually like this.
I don't think I can walk at all.
oh, I sent the same thing twice. Okay, sorry.
Well,
I'm just a bit worried that my computer's actually saved. Hang on a second.
One of my busiest, my Sunday and my Tuesday are so busy.
No, that is the.
And I go before, non-stop, because my husband was working because it's on the day. Like,
so you're teaching?
the most students.
Yeah, do they in your house or?
Yeah,
Oh, that's
they're coming to me. Yeah.
It's lucky.
It keeps opening the wrong thing.
Yes, I get used to travel people's houses, but it was almost impossible at some point, so because I was paying more money than I was earning, because I was hiring a babysitter, I had to leave the house earlier, I came back, so for 1 hour lesson, I was hired 4 hours.
Okay.
So it was no point, so why am I doing the lesson and not seeing my child?
Try that.
I said, okay, I'm doing everything from home, it's up to them if they wanna come, they can come. If they don't.
No, I mean, people wanted to come to me.
Have you got that
So
now?
many animals, and my dog, my little dog that we've got he's calmed down now, but when I started with all these people, he used to go to the door, and it was just, and also my house is a mess. And I thought it's
Someone
easy.
else with just one room is tidy, which is
Well, it's getting there. Now I've started teaching.
I have it now. Thank you.
Okay, great.
I get on my bike and it takes me 10 minutes for each one.
Okay, so for some reason my computer's not letting me open the one that says 2023, so you might have some things are slightly different. But also you could look for it on the Dropbox if it is different. I think it's very similar.
Okay.
Okay, so you might do your feet positions earlier. It depends how much time you have in the lesson. Feet positions can be a really nice thing to do when you've got 5 minutes and you can just do that.
Do you think, because I remember when I first started, because I was going to ask you this, someone told me to step back, because I do like the left foot forward.
Right.
Is there any reason that you can think of why you shouldn't do that? So you kind of do the V and then step back instead of because it feels more stabilising. I just remembered, and I tried it the other day, and it feels really good.
I suspect it depends where your weight is when you do it, doesn't it? Like if your weight is totally even.
Yeah. It feels really good to me.
Are you right-footed?
Yeah.
Right-handed?
Yeah. Are you?
Yeah. So maybe it's that. But I think the problem with it, the potential danger is just that you keep whichever foot you've planted.
Yeah.
Is the dominant one. But I think maybe stepping back might be easier if you are right-handed footed.
Yeah, I think I remember doing it with a couple of kids when I was really quite green, and I was just looking at people's videos about it.
Yeah.
And they liked stepping back. And then I remembered it the other day, and I just tried it. I thought, yeah, that is actually quite nice. Unless, I mean, because I have decided that foot forward works.
Right.
And it feels.
Yeah.
I mean, you put your weight all on the back foot, just means you step back and then you kind of move forward.
Yeah.
That's what
I think it's good.
As long as you don't object or have a reason.
No.
Good. That's good.
Right, number 7, introduce high and low notes with the second note game. Has anyone seen this in action?
No.
Would you like to describe it? Daphne?
So it's when you play, I don't know, A string, and then 3 fingers on the E string, and then you ask them which one is lower or which one is higher, right?
We do it, I do it slightly differently. It's the same skill, but I do it slightly differently where it's always the second note, because what you're listening for when you're playing by ear is you want to know what to do with the second note, right? With the next note.
Okay.
So if you do it that way, that is the same skill, but they might say the first note or they might say the second note. So it's not about a linear relationship between the notes. Whereas if you play this game over and over again, you do this if it's higher, you do this if it's lower, and you do this if it stays the same. And then I can just play, do, do, yes. And then if you want to keep it going, like, do, do, yes, do, do, do. And then you're actually learning how to eventually work out what the relationships are between do, 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 so that they could play that on their violin.
So would you repeat the note that you just played?
I don't often,
Okay.
but generally I just play 2 notes, but the idea is that we're thinking about what the second note is doing in relation to the first, rather than which one is higher and which one is lower. But it is essentially the same thing. But I think maybe it's a good idea to keep the second note, turn the second note into the first note for the next one.
But you could eventually get to the way that you just play a tune and they kind of sing, couldn't you? So you go,
yeah,
and they do that.
exactly, yeah.
There's
Yeah.
a sort of little dance.
Yeah. So this is one of the first games about learning by ear, just identifying whether it's the same, higher or lower. Then, step 8, we are on the instrument, woo! Well, step 5, we've done the instrument, but not really been doing anything very much with it. So, bow hold bunny, we've talked about in quite a lot of detail last week. Any questions about that? And then making a bow hold with your help and keeping it for 10 seconds. Remember to turn it up this way directly, so the tip is above the frog before letting go, so that they're not having to strain to hold the weight against gravity. Oh, there's a misprint. Teach the parent how to make a bow hold with the child in the lesson. So then that's basically you doing with the parent what you've just done. And then see if they can make the bow hold by themselves. So with some children, 8, 9 and 10 will happen in like 5 minutes and they'll be able to do it. Other children, they'll need a week on number 8, 2 weeks on number 9, and then 3 weeks on number 10. And what does it mostly depend on?
Practice.
Yeah, exactly.
So what's the highest that you would kind of accept between A9 and 10? I mean, how long have you, I mean, how on average would it, do you think it would take?
Well, it depends how fussy you are as well.
Oh, yeah.
So making a bow hold alone, if you're getting them to do what you would consider to be a perfect bow hold, that's probably going to take a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
But in order to go on to step 11, given that they're not going to stop doing step 10,
Yeah.
probably one lesson on each. You know, if they can't make a bow hold after a week of practicing it by themselves, making it by themselves, not practicing alone,
Yeah.
then you have to look at why that would be.
I'm not sure, because we didn't really do it, of what they're supposed to do with their bow when they're making the bow hold alone.
Okay.
I've always been unsure of that.
So we were talking about. So this is without the violin. So
Yeah,
why
I know how not to. We showed. It's just what they actually do with their other hand.
So there are several different options. If they're picking it up from the floor,
Yeah.
they probably pick it up like that, or they pick it up like that.
Yeah.
And so then, do you remember talking about the belly button bow hold? So they can kind of rest the bow here,
Yes. Yeah.
and so then they kind of make it upside down
Yeah.
and turn it up that way. Or they can hold it here and do the bow hold bunny,
Yeah.
open the mouth for the carrot.
Mhm.
Or a different version again, which is kind of a combination of those two. They can find the train, bring it down the tracks, and make their bow hold there.
I do remember that. Actually.
So either of those, any of those would be fine. Right. God, this is totally gobbledygook. Singing bread with hand signals for pitch. I think this is supposed to say whichever rhythm you prefer them to do first. Whichever rhythm. So this is, for example, let's do Twinkle Theme because they like it, it's nice and easy. So we might do Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. Or some of them will want, like some teachers want to do it so that it's like do, so, la. Or like that you would just come, you know, bearing in mind the children don't have boobs, so it's not uncomfortable for them to like step down the front of their bodies, but it feels slightly awkward for us. So I think probably I did it wrong. Probably this is better. So twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. But you can also do toes, or like basically just something that's going to make them aware of what's high and low in really big movements. Yeah. So when it says with hand signals, you're not talking about like do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, that. But just literally like levels. And they can also just do it in the air, like twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. It doesn't have to be attached to their body, but I think it makes it more, you know, a better learning experience for them to be kinetic about it.
So was the bread wrong? Singing bread?
No, singing bread is fine. The bread is the first 8 notes of Twinkle.
Oh, okay.
Just the first part, bread.
Yeah, so bread, so we divide Twinkle into bread and cheese and bread. And bread is the first 8 notes. 2 slices of cheese is the middle 4 twice over.
A-B-A.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. A delicious bread sandwich. Singing and soaping the rhythms and full variations on the upper left arm. So you would practice busy, busy, stop, stop. And when they can do that, you would give them a credit for that. And then when they can keep it going all the way through while you're playing or while the recording's playing, they would get a credit for that too.
Okay.
Some children need a credit for every tiny thing they do. Other children, you know, they want to do something significant to get it. So it's flexible.
So just like
Exactly.
This is that. Oh,
This is just with your hand, isn't it?
Hang on, what are you talking about?
so I was on the next one, sorry.
Turn and tip in the air and onto the violin. So turn and tip is the head thing. Will you be my student? I can't remember who I did it with. Maybe you, Jacqueline. Hold my hand. So turn to your imaginary violin and tip your head. There we go. And so we do this in the air without the violin to start with, and then onto the violin. And you or the parent have put the violin on their arm, on their shoulder.
Right.
When we do that, it's good for them to hold it like for some seconds, so we see if it's like secure.
Yeah.
That okay? Okay.
Yeah, they can do it while you count to 10, or they can do it while you play your favourite Suzuki tune or a little bit of it, or they can do it, you know, it depends. Okay, stop the traffic. It's the big exercise to get from from rest position to playing position for the students. We've done it, right?
Yeah.
So let's just go through it to remind ourselves. So you need your violins, please. So when we're getting ready, Sarah, just come here so that you're not blocking. Thank you. When we're getting ready, we're growing up from the floor, from the ground like a plant. So we do our feet first, whichever version of game is playing position you want to do. And then if we had everything, we would do the bow hand next. But this is just isolating the violin. But just make sure that you always do the feet first, so that they're not putting their violin up with their feet together. Okay, so then Mr. Snappy. And he's a crocodile, so he swims underneath the violin and snaps with the fingers on the strings and the thumb on the back. And you may or may not want to put a little sticker here for the thumb. And then stop the traffic in line with your left foot. Turn the button to the ceiling. Some children will go this way, so if they are going to do that, you say go front, then up, and then make a silly hat. And then say hello ear, land on your shoulder, then you turn and tip. And then you can put your hands on your tummy. Beautiful. Okay? So one of the bits of written work that you need to do is to write out steps that will mean you can follow them if you've forgotten everything for number 14.
I remember my first violin lesson. My teacher taught me how to hold the violin and told me to walking around the house without hitting somewhere. I remember whole week I was walking around the house like
Yeah, you can do that. We always want to remember that it's a balance between having a good position where they can do other things and giving them too many things to do so they feel worried about it.
Oh, yeah.
But it's a fun thing to do, definitely. Okay, Pop Goes the Weasel. Do you know this song, Aaron? We play the same thing each time. So the first way is just in rest position. We might sing the rest position song, which is not on here. I'm not going to put, like, you know, you don't want to put every single thing in here, so it's going to be like the Bible. But in rest position with violin and bow, maybe just make a note saying you might want to do the rest position song. So we'll just remind ourselves of that now. That's way back at number 5. So the rest position song.
Sorry, where should we write it? In
Number
which
5.
one? Number 5. Okay, thank you.
No worries. Can you touch your bridge?
Yes,
I can touch my bridge. Can you touch your scroll?
I can touch my scroll.
Can you tap the back?
I can tap the back.
Can you tap the top?
I can tap the top.
Can you strum your strings?
I can strum the strings.
Then we are in
Rest position.
Yes, very nice. So you might want to have done that then. But pop, the most basic pop is rest position, and the thumb of the right hand goes onto the E string here. So when the teacher plays dum da dum da 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 dum dum da dum da I'm singing the wrong key. And you always do the whole song, and so for that it's quite slow, and you're just thinking about them being in the right time. It's nothing, doesn't really help the thumb. Maybe it teaches a little bit of fine motor skills, but basically it's about the timing. And then oh sorry, yes, we had a better idea than using the thumb, which was to use the left pinky to pluck.
Yeah.
So I haven't remembered that, but now I've remembered it. So left pinky to pluck first, and then the second one, regular pop, means you have to do stop the traffic. So we do the feet, we do stop the traffic, you make a silly hat, say hello to your ear, turn yourself, take your fingers off the strings. Then you give a thumbs up to the teacher, you put your thumb on the corner of the fingerboard, and then you wiggle your first finger, which is going to pluck. And that's what most people, when you say in group, for example, shall we do Pop Goes the Weasel? That's what the children will expect, because it's the most helpful one, really. And then advanced Pop Goes the Weasel, you can play, and then you don't need the A. When you're playing, just miss out. It's nice, isn't it?
You said the A, so what did you say?
You, as the teacher, don't play your A, because the kids go, that's what you're doing.
Oh, I see. Oh, right. Okay.
That's great.
Do you want a video of that?
Oh,
For this one,
Yes.
Advanced pop. Yes, for number 15. Yeah, let's just make a video for number 15. Can you?
the whole video would be
Yeah.
great.
Can you video it, and then it'll be, and we'll put it on the WhatsApp, please. And I will remember. Pinky.
Not just third one, right? Also
No, all of them. Yeah. I'll just talk you through it. Okay, so for number, whatever it is, 15, we might also even practice getting into rest position from the floor. So you want your child to go underneath the neck, pick up the violin nice and safely, put it under the arm, and make sure that you can see your scroll and your bridge. Then we're going to grow from the floor like we always do. So penguin feet and take a step. Then we do stop the traffic. No, then we do basic pop. The teacher is going to play starting on D3, so middle G, and the kid is going to go with their left hand pinky. That's basic pop. Some children will also use their right hand thumb to do it. Then, what we normally think of as Pop Goes the Weasel, so when you're thinking about doing pop, this is what most kids will expect. Stop the traffic, grab your violin, turn your button to the ceiling, make a silly hat, say hello to your ear, land on your shoulder, turn and tip the head. Take your fingers off the strings, give a thumbs up to your teacher. The thumb wants to go on the corner of the fingerboard, not touching the E string. So that has to be quite carefully taught for lots of kids, otherwise they get that where it doesn't work. And then wiggle your index finger, hello, like a little worm. And then they're going to go ding, 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 blah, 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 dun, 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 dun. And then often at this stage, I would start doing slow and then fast pop. So and give a lead. But they are going to do, which means as the teacher you do not need to play the A. So when you get to, you miss out 2 notes, not 1. Okay? Good. Okay, and also, you know, given that your notes and everything, the written work is something you have to hand in, and the examiners will look at in your exam, but they are mostly for you to be helpful for you.
Yeah.
So if you want to put in a link to a video that you've posted online, or that's on my YouTube channel, that's completely fine. Even on a piece of paper, it won't work, obviously.
Yeah.
Because you'll probably look at it on your computer, and then you'll be like, oh yeah, what is that video again? Click, there it is. So don't feel that it has to like work in every way on the paper.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're up to 16, right?
Yeah.
What was the other group name? Sorry. Send it to us.
Put it on the WhatsApp chat.
Yeah, what was the name of the chat?
Teacher training. Now, I'm just trying to think, have we got ready? Oh no, that's later. Okay, so continuing on, helicopters onto the shoulder is where you make the bow hold. The child makes the bow hold by themselves, whichever way they're going to do it. And then you practice like flying in the air, so this is straight above their head, straight out. Fly in the air like a helicopter, and then you're going to come and land on your shoulder. So this is helicopters first of all. What are you checking for? Great, the bow hold being correctly held. Excellent. Something else?
Elbow.
The elbow has to be heavy, so that as they're coming this way, it's all just relaxing and releasing. It's not that. That where they're landing is going to be approximately the balance point of the bow. And that the angle of the bow is pretty much staying the same. It's not this.
Oh, yeah.
So even in just a tiny exercise like that, there's quite a lot to check for. Most of which you will do, you know, without thinking. Mower twinkle. Right, that's supposed to say more. Sorry, I'm going to go through this and make it, get rid of all these typos. So, more twinkle variations, singing and soaping. This is just basically to remind you that you're doing that all the way through. So like, you know, if we had an amazing sort of 3D diagram of how this works, that would be continuing all the way through these twinkles, soaping, and also obviously they are reviewing all the old things. You don't stop doing the old things.
Yeah.
But some of them they're introducing bit by bit, and I'm not interested in having a list that says here do fatter than a caterpillar on E 4 times precisely at this moment, like unless there's a reason for it to be in that order.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So just keep an eye on it basically, make sure that you are adding, they're not just doing busy, busy, stop, stop on their soaping and singing.
Wait, is soaping really just because I saw a thing where they're going like that? Is that a good idea?
I wouldn't go below the elbow because that's like going right to the tip of the
Yeah.
Up to elbow.
But
Shoulder
you do
to
hold your
elbow.
arm out, or you just literally just like that?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Because this is quite like the E string, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, it's here a bit, but we don't want to get into chest rubbing.
No.
Okay, so number 18, make a bow hold. That's the child.
Yeah.
Teacher or parent puts the violin onto the shoulder. So this would be, Sarah, will you be my student, please? Right, there's your bow. Can you make me your bow hold? See how it goes. Great. So I'm just going to bring those around a tiny bit more for your bow hold. Lovely. And then we might just do a couple of helicopters. So fly up to my hand with your hand. Great. And then show me a helicopter onto your shoulder. Brilliant. So you might just do that once or twice just to check that they're not going to do something weird. And then you say, okay, fly your helicopter away. Now we're ready to put the violin in there. And then take your hand so that they don't twist away from you when you put it up. You put the violin on the shoulder. Sorry, it's my violin, not yours. Put that hand there. Okay, now you're going to do the same thing. Can you come and fly to my hand? And go and let off some passengers. And you're always doing this to the E to start with. Fly to my hand, land, let the passengers off, relax your elbow, make it very nice and relaxed. Fly, 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 backlands. Brilliant, let the president off. Come back, let the prime minister off. You can do all sorts of silly games like that. Brilliant. Okay, good. So they are doing the bow hold, and then you are putting the violin in place. So actually, this is too many, this is not enough.
BBSS?
Busy, stops.
Oh, busy stuff.
So I think this should be reworded slightly. Make a bow hold. Teacher or parent puts violin onto shoulder, then student practices helicopters onto string. Once comfortable, student lands bow and plays busy, stop on the E. So this is when, if we'd just done that all together, that you would then take their hand and say, okay, here we go, this is busy, stop. You do it for them and then you let go and say, can you have a go? And if they've been doing their soaping and lots of listening, mostly they'll just be able to do that straight away, which is what we want.
Yeah, this because of my son, like everybody down now, so that's why I go.
Yeah, the reason I learned everybody down up, and the reason I don't like it is because down up is legato with the way we say it. Down up is one sound, rah rah, not even that wah wah. Whereas stop, everybody stop has that moment of stillness in between those two.
But at the same time, the benefit of down up, like down bow up bow.
Yeah.
When he confused, it reminds my son that it should go down. Everybody down.
I think that lots of the kids are confused by which way is down and which way is up, like we discussed last week.
Yeah.
So I don't think it is that helpful. Maybe for the parent it's helpful.
Yes.
I think it's cute. I mean, I prefer everybody down up to busy stop, but I think busy stop is more technically useful, so that's what I do. But also, I think the other thing for, if any parents are getting confused, or the children are getting confused by the different names, okay, let's think of all the names that we know for variation A. Busy stop.
Everybody down.
Another one?
I don't know.
You haven't heard any more? Piccadilly Circus.
No.
Jacqueline, do you know any more?
What I do with them is the same as Iram's, everybody down, up.
Yeah. So there's also
Sausages and bacon.
yeah, sausages and bacon. What do the cellos call it? They call it. Oh, I don't remember. Anyway, there are loads of different options for what you call it. And the way to check that you know what rhythm it is just to say it with your mouth closed. So we can all pick one of those. And then let's put our mouths closed and say it at the same time. Ready, go. And as long as you've got the right rhythm, it's exactly the same.
Yeah.
So you can do that with the parents. It's quite fun to do that in a group class. If they're like, it's so confusing, I don't know whether it's busy, stop, or stop pony, or whatever. And then you just say, okay, well, just hum it basically, and then you'll know which rhythm it is. Number 19, I would write start from concert position. Iram, do you remember what concert position is?
Yes, the violin.
Lovely, well done.
Oh.
Excellent. So, if we are doing number 19 from the, yes, very good, bow hair, bow sandwich, wood hair, wood sandwich. If we're going for number 19 from concert position, we are making sure that they can pick up the violin under the neck, that the bow is going in the hand, that they are getting their first finger through the bow to make the hook and making a ring with the thumb, that the violin is going underneath, check that you can touch your scroll and your bridge. You may want to sing a song, and you put your feet in rest position. Then you're working again from the ground up. So we put playing position feet, then you make your bow hold, and like if you have the hair facing forward, this is quite simple for them to do it here. They might do a belly button bow hold, they might not need to, doesn't matter. And then if they've turned it up, you just make sure that they can move it out to the right hand side of the violin. And then you do Mr. Snappy, stop the traffic, turn it to the ceiling, make a silly hand, say hello to your ear, turn and tip, take your fingers off, helicopter flies, helicopter lands, here we are ready to play. And they have done that all by themselves.
Okay, so on the 19, we just need to add start in concert position, because what I have next is check the student can make a bow hold with the violin in rest position and move it to the right of the scroll if it is not, you know.
Yeah. So number 19 actually is only really to here. And number 20 is again going from their feet, bow hold, stop the traffic, and helicopters. So you could put the two together if you wanted to.
Okay.
So these are sort of one step. I might condense them. Right, and then you learn all your variations in this order on E once. Oh, Kate, you're a marvellous student. You can do it straight away. Fantastic. Then we do faster than a caterpillar. Why do we not do Dr. Suzuki next?
It's difficult.
It's tricky. And also on E, it doesn't make any sense
Oh.
because there's no change of pitch. It's just the same bowing as stop, stop in the first variation. So fatter than a caterpillar is the same as busy, 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 busy.
Yeah.
And they will, some of them will need help to understand that. Nelly the elephant is the new change of pulse feeling. And then stop pony, I think is easier to do later because it's got two different, it's like busy, busy, stop, stop. It has the combination of the quavers and the semiquavers, but the switch is much quicker between them. And they have the added complication of down little, up little. Excuse me, the up bowing is much easier for them to coordinate than that. And then Dr. Suzuki will just do Dr. Suzuki Hey to start off with. And this may take several lessons. I mean, it will. I'm going to make that will.
How do you mean once in this order?
One set of each rhythm.
Oh, you learn the whole ticket. Oh, I see. So you don't spend weeks on busy, busy, stop, stop before you do. So you learn the rhythms on the E all in one lesson kind of thing?
No, over several lessons.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But not for not. They all get introduced quite quickly.
Right.
Also group lessons helps them to learn
Yeah.
outside.
Yeah.
Should they be scrubbing the rhythms before they actually play them? Yeah, yes, sorry, the soap. Yeah.
Scrubbing. Scrub that floor with your variations, boy. Yes, they should be.
Okay.
If you look back at wherever it is, singing and soaping the variations, number 12, they are singing and soaping, and then number 17 is there to remind you to make sure that you're adding them in.
Yeah, okay.
So that by the time they get to 21, they can sing and soap all of them really easily.
They already learned on number 17 the variations anyway by
Well,
singing.
number 12. Number 12.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah, because they're singing it.
Yes.
Even they don't play
And they are
it.
soaping it.
Yeah.
So it shouldn't be hard. If you've messed up, if it's hard for them to do it on the violin, basically.
I'm
So-
just trying to understand what would take place in that lesson if you're only doing them once? So you wouldn't get them to do.
No, not once. You only ever play it once. One set. So what they're practicing is like this. Okay. You do it now. Okay, that's great. My turn. Your turn. Okay, let's see if you can keep it on the horizon highway. No.
Oh, okay, yeah. Right, that's what I do, so that's wrong. That's not, because
Yeah, so one at a time so that they can really focus on what you're trying to do, what they're trying to improve each time. So let's try and improve this wording. One at a time.
Take it in turns.
Yeah, it is difficult to describe accurately, isn't it? All variation, all rhythms, all rhythms on E. One rhythm at a time. That still isn't clear. One
bout of it.
One bout. I've had a really bad bout of twinkle variations today.
I don't really know, but I don't.
It's like a one set, I think. One set of each at a time.
But when they're able to play all of it, it's kind of like a marathon thing they do, right? And start from the beginning and non-stop all the variations.
Yeah.
I remember my son did it, I did it with
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
But when you send them home to practice, then what would be their practice that week? Just to keep going, don't stop.
Yeah, so if you go back to the Suzuki book, on page 20, thank you, we have the rhythms written out with no music, and then with these rests between. So I would give a credit for this on here, once they can do the rhythm one at a time, just on E. And then we do it with the rest and literally in time. So they go da 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 da, rest, rest, da 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 da, rest, rest, repeat, da 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 da, rest, da 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 da, rest, rest. And that's something they get credit for.
Yeah.
And then they get the credit for the next one, which is without the rest. Da 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 da, repeat, da 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 da, a credit for that. And then the same on the A string.
Yeah, okay.
So if we go back to our list, this is why we need a list, because what's in the book is very broad brush strokes.
Yeah.
But in that lesson, so in the first lesson, you might do Busy Busy Stop Stop and Fatten the Caterpillar.
Yeah.
And then a bunch of other stuff, practice some helicopters, practice some bow holds, all the review stuff that you're doing, you don't stop doing.
Yeah.
And then the next lesson you might do Nelly the Elephant, and that might take not the whole lesson to do it on E, but the whole part of the lesson that you're doing a new thing for.
Yeah.
And so it will take several lessons to get to the stage where they've done all the twinkle rhythms, one set at a time on E.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
And then during 21, you're doing your review of the old things, but we're also introducing seesaw and rock and roll. So there's an old English song that goes, seesaw, Marjorie Daw, Tommy will have, I think it's Tommy or Johnny, something like that. Johnny will have a new master, he will earn but a penny a week because he can't work any faster. So this is good for their singing as well because it's only me and so and a little blah blah. And do you all know what I mean when I say that really quickly? Me, so,
Yeah,
me, sorry. Yeah. So me, la so me.
Yeah.
This is the interval that's easiest for children to sing.
Yeah.
So that's why it's useful. So I do seesaw with the bow on the bridge.
Okay.
Oh.
And when we're doing it, because it keeps them parallel, they will realise if they fall off really easily.
Yeah.
So we are talking very slowly and carefully for number 22.
Can I record this?
Yes, of
too?
course. Thank you.
Will you post it as well?
Sorry?
Will you post it on the WhatsApp?
Yes,
Okay, so for seesaw Marjorie Daw, we do it on the bridge, and before they have a go at it, we are being very careful to talk about a hot air balloon underneath the wrist to go over to the G string, and then a heavy bag on your elbow to take you back to the E string, or whatever kind of imagery you want to use, but basically hand up, like you raise your hand in class and have a question, and when think, so now I'm going to put my elbow down. So it's not just chicken wings, like, it's not a symmetrical movement. And then we sing, seesaw, Marjorie do, Johnny will have a new master. He will earn but a penny a week because he can't work any faster. And the reason we're on the bridge then is that if they start to do it this way, it becomes really obvious.
Yeah.
And it just makes it really easy to get all the way over. And what you're looking for is that the correct movement of hand up, elbow down, hand up, elbow down, not just this. And then rock and roll is exactly the same thing basically, but on the Chrysler Highway, or whatever you want to call this, track to the right contact point. And they're doing rock and roll there. And sometimes we'll put on some rock and roll just on my phone, like Guns N' Roses or something. Yeah. And then this one we also make smaller and smaller and smaller until we're just going between E and A, because they're going to need to go between E and A soon. So take a moment to write all that down because it's quite a lot of information. Okay? Yeah. Nearly done. You have to go at 3 or before?
I will call a taxi in 5 minutes.
Okay.
And I will call back for you because I feel ill.
Oh,
I don't think
no.
I'll be able to walk.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you want to go now?
I don't mind, it's fine. I can just call the taxi maybe now when it arrives.
Yeah. Okay, well we're nearly finished.
Yeah.
So during 21, introduce seesaw and rock and roll. Then number 23, variation rhythms with rest and without rest on E 4 times. So that's what we were just talking about. Is written out on page 21. 24 is basically a helicopter, so you're landing on the E string, and then tipping to A, a little bit of rock and roll to play busy, busy, stop, stop. And then 25, I think I'm going to take out and just put as an option for 21 because it's just a really helpful thing that if you have a pen or something that they can have a go on, especially if you can make it big. Things like this, which variation am I doing? Close your eyes. You might not be able to hear, Jacqueline, don't worry if you can't. Yeah, very good. So it can be really helpful for them to use the sound with a pen and but it's not really something they need to get a credit for, it's just helping them. So I'm going to just move that. Variation with rest and without on A 4 times, so that's the same as 23, just on the A string. Let's stop there because we don't have time to get to the end, and that's where we are going to introduce fingers.
So the 25 go to 21. Is it that correct?
I'm going to take it out. So I'm going to update this document, and then
Okay.
you adapt it. Don't do it straight away, basically.
Okay.
In fact, I'm going to put it. So one thing that we can do. So why don't you head off? I hope you feel better soon.
I will call a number.
Okay.
I'm calling a number.
Okay, great. So then one of the things that we do, which is fun, Jacqueline, it's very hard for you to do it on Zoom. In fact, I would say impossible. And we won't do all of this today because it's tricky. Oh, they haven't been cut separately. Oh yes. Is that here are all those steps, and which ones, what order can we find, and which order do we need to have? Lots of this is just like at some point you need to introduce soaping. It doesn't really matter if you introduce soaping first and then you teach the bow hold, or if you teach the bow hold and then you introduce soaping. But some of them really matter.
Yeah.
So both looking a bit knackered. Maybe we'll play this next week and just finish a bit early.
I think it's just my eyes actually from the wind. I don't really.
But you know, we can sit on the floor and like work out, okay, so these have to be in this order, and then we have another pile of things that are just kind of somewhere along the way.
So what should we do? Put
Yeah, so just see
get the ones that have to be in order.
what order can you put them in. I think we'll say goodbye because this is just going to be very boring for you to watch.
Okay.
Okay, see you in 2 weeks' time.
Thank you, guys.
If you could, I'll just stop this recording. Bye, anyone watching.